Hello everybody, how's it going? I'm gonna be rating the Louis Vuitton fragrances that I've tried from worst to best. I've tried 10 of them. I'll put all the names of them in the description, but not in the order of the video so that it doesn't spoil it. All right, number 10, in last place, the worst scent, Nuit de Feu. That fragrance straight up smelled like Vaseline and I could not stand it. It was probably the only Louis scent that I had to wash off my skin because I could not get with the way that it smelled. Now, even though I washed it off multiple times, that thing was an absolute trooper. It had pretty good longevity on me after I tried washing it off. It was going upwards of 6 hours, which is kind of wild because for some reason, it's always the fragrances you want to wash off that have good performance. But that one, a total pass for me. Marketed as unisex. I believe it's marketed as unisex. It didn't smell super feminine or masculine to me at all. I feel like it's a fragrance that's more daring and anybody could try to wear it, but a total pass for me. All right, so that's number 10. Number 9, I am going to give to, this might be a bit controversial, but it's called Symphony. Where is it? Right here, yeah, Symphony. So this is a very easy to like, fresh and clean, citrusy type of fragrance. Yeah, like this doesn't smell bad. And if you're wondering why it's towards the bottom of the list, it's because the price tag of this fragrance is upwards of $500. And for me, if you have a scent that, yes, this is mass appealing, and it's very simple, but that price tag is really weighing it down because with something that hefty, I was expecting something more bold, something that might smell a bit more luxurious, you know what I mean? But I kind of got a fragrance that I have smelled before in things in a much more affordable range, you know what I mean? So that's the only thing holding this thing back. It doesn't smell bad, not a daring, polarizing fragrance by any means, but too safe for the price tag that it's asking for. So Symphony, 9th place. 8th place is actually going to go to Imagination, and I know a lot of guys in particular love that fragrance. I think Symphony is marketed as unisex, but Imagination is marketed as a masculine fragrance. Now, the reason why that one is in 8th place is because I have an association with that sort of smell. It kind of smells a bit similar to Symphony, so it's also a mass appealing, fresh, citrusy sort of smell with some florals in it a little bit, but it reminds me of my 8th grade English teacher. She was like in her 60s, you know what I mean? And when I first smelled that, I was like, holy crap, this smells like Miss So-and-so, you know? So immediately out the door, it wasn't a fragrance I was interested in getting that I wanted to wear nonstop. I wore it a couple times, but I still couldn't shake the thought of her, so that is the reason why it's so low. Now, for me, I really don't see how that is a masculine, dominant sort of fragrance. It smells very unisex, honestly, leans a bit more feminine to me, to my nose. But of course, if you enjoy wearing any of these scents, continue to rock them. Who cares what anybody else says? What matters most is that you like it. All right, so number 8 is Imagination. Number 7 is going to be Dancing Blossom. And this smells pretty much how you'd expect dancing in a flower field, anything like that. It's a floral dominant sort of fragrance. And this is actually pretty nice. It's like your very standard fresh floral type of scent, kind of like Springtime in a Park and, you know, Hombres Femme from MFK. But honestly, in the opening of this fragrance, there was a little bit in the background of like a cigarette-y sort of smell, like when I just like took a deep whiff of it and I was like, whoa, why is that there? It reminded me of my uncle that's a smoker, and I was like, what the heck? You know what I mean? But even in the air, I smelled that initially. So at first I was like, was that my skin? But I sprayed it again before I clicked play on this video in the air, and then I still got that sort of smell. So for that reason, not the biggest fan of this scent. I will say though that the cigarette-iness wasn't super noticeable. Like if you wear this fragrance, nobody's gonna think, oh my gosh, you smell like a cigarette. You know what I mean? Definitely it's gonna be more of like your floral, jasmine-y, rosy type of fragrance. but I'm not sure if those are the two exact florals listed here, but just think of a bouquet of flowers and taking a big whiff and you get Dancing Blossom. So again, a very safe type of fragrance, but you know, it's nice. It's nice for anybody that wants to just own a floral Louis Vuitton. I think that this one is a solid one to look into, but just doesn't stand out to me. There's just so many other things that also smell so similar to this that I'm not wild about it, all right? So 7th place, Dancing Blossom. 6th place is going to go to, you know what? I'm gonna put Meteor in 6th place. And I know that this is a fan favorite. This also is very mass appealing. It can be considered a sexy, masculine sort of fragrance. But for me, it just doesn't scratch that itch. You know, I mean, I know where it's trying to take me, and like, don't get me wrong, this was made to be very easy to wear, you know, and I feel like if you like the modern type of fragrances, like for example, Aventus and things like that, you're totally gonna dig this fragrance, right? But it's like, I get where it's trying to map out, but it just doesn't execute it that well enough for me, where I'm like, oh, this thing is so good. It just smells like, kind of like every other fragrance, you know, it falls like in the back burner. There's nothing really about it that I'm like, holy shit, I love Meteor. It sticks out because of this. It's just a nice scent, and that's all there is to it. Now, the performance I got with this, also around 5 to 6 hours, but a dumb reach sort of fragrance, if you will. All right, number 5 is Cactus Garden. So I have this here on the back of my hand, and this might not be as mass appealing as Symphony or as Meteor, right? But I do like the character of this fragrance. I like how bold it is. I like that when I smelled it for the first time, I was like, oh, this smells different, you know? And to be honest, it does kind of smell like a cactus. If you've never smelled a cactus before, I know that description kind of sounds weird, but like, think of a cactus, but not a cactus in the desert, like a cactus surrounded by other greens, if you will. Or like, no, you know what? A cactus on a cool day with some water around it. You know what I mean? That's what I get with this scent. It's just like, it has, like, there's some personality to it, which is the reason why it's number 5 and higher on this list. And you know, I like that about this fragrance. I am testing it right now though, so it's still been on my skin. It's been a couple hours. Don't really know how the performance is overall with this scent, but it's going pretty strong still. And yeah, I just like that it differentiates itself from the other ones that I've smelled. You know what I mean? It goes more in that daring direction. So Cactus Garden by Louis Vuitton. Of course, why do I keep saying that? They are all Louis Vuittons. 4th place, Le Manchette. I was gonna say it again, I'm not gonna say it. Le Manchette. So this fragrance, if you saw my first impression of it, or if you've seen my videos of it before, I really liked this. I loved this fragrance. I was like, man, this smells so good. It was sexy. Well, maybe not sexy, but it was very just, it was like a comforting, clean, versatile type of fragrance, right? But the reason why I no longer want a full-size bottle of this, like I'm not as wild about the scent as I used to be, is because ever since the first time I sprayed it, it reminded me of my dad's Perry Ellis fragrance that he used to use all the time. And you know, when you smell a scent and it automatically makes you think of something else, to me, that's not really much of a positive because it lacks its own kind of like personality, you know what I mean? So when I smell this, I don't only think Le Manchette, I think of Perry Ellis as well. So that's just the only downside. Overall, a really likable type of scent. Dar really liked this one a lot. Gabrielle liked it too, but then she also thought like that it was like super basic. And then with Dar, she said, well, she really did enjoy it, but she's like, you know, it smells very, very safe. So just nothing that is going to be, I don't know, for those of you that want an adventurous type of fragrance that's really going to separate you from the crowd, this is not the way to go. All right. Number 3 is a fragrance I don't have in my collection right now. Actually, I have a sample of it laying somewhere, but it's a Trapres. And a Trapres is one of their feminine fragrances that smells like lychee and cacao. And that is my favorite fragrance on my girlfriend. And the reason why it's in third place is because I only want to smell it on her. You know what I mean? It's not a fragrance that I want to smell on any other person. It's like specifically her. And the other two, well, I'll explain that a bit later on. But a very strong fragrance. I still smell that thing on her past 12 hours. It's no joke. The versatility is fantastic. You can wear it in warm weather. Also wear it when it's cold, because that juicy, fruity lychee is present in the high heat or the warm weather. And then in the cold, you can kind of get that sweetness from the cacao as well. Now, I will say, wearing it on a really hot day, I like kind of a pass, because it can turn a little bit sweet. So just be cautious of that. But definitely one of their best performing fragrances, in my opinion. Now, number 2 is Heures d'Absence, marketed as a feminine fragrance. This is actually my sister's signature scent, and it's so good. This is probably my favorite, like this, oh God, it's my favorite clean bath type of fragrance. It smells like the most luxurious bath, mixed with some rose petals and some jasmine petals in there while you're sipping a mimosa, all right? And on top of that, I remember before seeing written reviews of this fragrance with people saying that the performance is trash, it doesn't last that long, nobody can smell it. When my sister wears this, it goes over 8 hours, and on top of that, her scent trail in whatever room she's in, this scent lingers. So it has fantastic performance, really nice longevity, great projection, a very, very nice scent trail, and the smell of it is something that nobody can really hate on. You know what I mean? I'd be concerned if somebody hated on this fragrance, because that means they're turned off by the smell of somebody that's freshly showered. And that's a bit, I don't know, like, you know, everyone has their own kind of, you know, guilty pleasures, but I don't know, if you're off put by someone smelling clean, but yeah, this right here is a very bougie bath type of fragrance. Really, really love it. And it's been a huge compliment getter for her, and very versatile as well. We mainly live in warm weather, but she's worn this on cloudy days and it smelled just as amazing. The performance is still there. And lastly, of course, is Afternoon Swim. This is my favorite fragrance. This is one of my fresh signature scents. Like I've said in multiple videos before, I've got about 5 fragrances that I'm constantly using in rotation throughout the whole entire year that I love. And this, for the summer and spring months, is my favorite. It's my absolute favorite. This and maybe another 2 fragrances are what I'm always using. But Afternoon Swim is a sexy orange fragrance with a little bit of a cologne vibe in the background, but definitely can be unisex. I believe it's actually marketed as unisex, but if you go into Louis Vuitton stores, I think it's sitting there with the other masculine fragrances, but don't be afraid to try it. Anybody can wear this if they want to, but the orange in here is seriously heavenly. This is a very simple sex in a bottle type of fragrance. Now, the cool thing about Louis Vuitton, at least in the United States, is that if you buy one of their bottles and you finish it, you can go into any Louis store that has the fragrances and you can refill your bottle with whatever you want for half off. So let's say you love Afternoon Swim, but it's getting cold, so you want to get Ombre Nomad. Then you can fill it up for half the price. And I believe a full size, like this bottle, goes for around $250 or to $280. But, you know, half of that you're paying for like $150, which is a price of your standard designer fragrance, like retailed at Macy's. You know what I mean? So definitely a good investment. I know some of my followers in Australia, though, don't get that benefit. They have to refill it with the same scent. But in the States, any Louis fragrance. So definitely something to look into. But there it is. The worst to best Louis fragrances, in my opinion. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate the love. See you later. Bye.